premise of this book and why building resilience and building resiliently is so important is that not every disruption has to become a disaster. And so the principle and properties of building resilience are to enable greater awareness of the shocks and stresses, the risks that cities and countries and people are facing in the 21st century, to be able to rebound more effectively and more quickly if a shock or stressor does hit, and then to be able to revitalize, that is, to grow and adapt if something bad does happen, rather than simply return to normal, because normal includes all of the vulnerabilities that created some of the problems in the first place. So building resilience has those characteristics. It is of critical importance on this continent, particularly as we see the impact of climate change in every season, affecting so many people, both urban and rural, with increasing predictions about sea level rise, about coastal erosion, about riverbank overflowing, about pressures on cities in health and the transmission of disease, all caused by a rapidly changing climate. So the capacity to build resilience, to withstand the shocks of climate change, while of course we're trying to improve and mitigate future consequences, has a special resonance as we talk about the continent of Africa, the people of Africa, going forwards. Urbanization, globalization, and climate change are the three factors that really are pushing a greater number of shocks and stresses. So you've quite correctly identified urbanization as one of those significant challenges, and certainly those of you who live in Nairobi are seeing the impact of rapid urbanization, the influx of greater numbers of people, and the kinds of pressures, the stressors that puts on a city, on any city. And when we talk about building resilience and the pressures, we're talking about both the shocks, the kinds I've already talked about, but we're also talking about the slow burning stresses that accumulate, whether it's crime or poverty, traffic congestion, poor air quality. Those are things that accumulate over time and put additional stresses on urban residents in particular. I'm not sure that it has direct solutions against corruption, but from the many examples that we've studied around the world, some of the earlier protections around corruption is building trust and building community cohesion and building community capacity. So sometimes corruption occurs when there's no community strength or community capacity, and so a corrosive component will seep in because people suspect one another rather than their leaders.